Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, May 4th, 2016.
Commissioner James, repenting and assent are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Chris Smith, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Aida Valencia, Street Services.
Good morning, Master Jerry, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Jim Lantry, Engineering.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment. However, we do have speaker cards under item number 2.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and close general public comment. Our first item of business, the approval of the meeting minutes from the meeting of Friday, April 15th, 2016. Is there a second to my motion to approve those meeting minutes by Commissioner Ascento? Any objection? Without objection, those meeting minutes will be approved. Colleagues, before we begin, let's actually start with agenda item number 4, a requested continuance advisement board to consider the relocation assistance appeal from Bellcraft Office Furniture Incorporated related to the 6th Street Viaduct seismic improvement project. Mr. Jimenez, let me put a couple of things on the record. The requested continuance is from today until Monday, June 6th?
Yes.
Okay. The requested continuance doesn't run afoul of anything that is of concern to yourself or the city attorney, correct?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
And the requested continuance would enable additional time for the parties to work on the reconciliation of the accompanying invoices to support some of the numbers that are the subject of the issues that are being discussed?
Correct.
Okay. Then my only recommendation would be on this continuance that we've continued it a couple of times already. We're not going to want to keep continuing it over and over again, so the message should be passed on to the appellant that this 30 days should be to compile whatever documents are still needed.
I talked to the attorney, the owner's attorney this morning, and I told him the very same thing, that if we get a 30-day continuance, that all the items have to be provided by then.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Then we'll continue the item. Any objection? We'll continue the item to Monday, June 6th. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 2. Office of Community Beautification for Council District 4. Recommending the board authorize the Office of Community Beautification to grant revocable permission to encroach within the public right-of-way, subject to listed conditions, to Hollywood Knolls Community Club. The encroachments and installation of a 12-foot, 4-inch wide community monument sign that says Hollywood Knolls, and replace vegetation at 3356 Barham Boulevard at Lake Hollywood Boulevard, and request the city engineer to issue a no-fee revocable permit for work to be performed. Request the city engineer to issue a no-fee A permit for work to be performed, and request the Bureau of Contract Administration to provide no-fee inspection of the project. Mr. Roch, we have a couple of speaker cards on this, but why don't you set us up with a summary of what is going on, to the extent that the agenda itself didn't already do it, and then we'll hear from our speakers as well. Go ahead.
All right, very good. Thank you. Paul Roch, Director of the Office of Community Beautification. The Adopt a Median program operated by OCB has been designed to work with community groups and residents to empower and assist them with creating and implementing beautification projects on areas of public property. OCB has been working closely with the Hollywood Knolls Community Club on this project to assist them in obtaining permission for the installation of a community monument sign and to replace vegetation at the location of 3356 Barham Boulevard. The Hollywood Knolls Community Club has developed plans. These plans have been reviewed and approved by Bureau of Engineering Structural Division and the Bureau of Street Services Landscaping Division. Additionally, the LA Department of Transportation has reviewed the plans and has no issues with the sign installation. The Office of Councilmember Ryu is in support of the project. The Hollywood Hills West Neighborhood Council is also in support of the project. The Hollywood Knolls Community Club has agreed to maintain the improvements once they're installed. And at this point, the final step is to secure the permits. Is the approval of the Board of Public Works, and we do respectfully request such approval this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Roch. On our speakers list this morning, Eileen Peterson. Good morning, ma'am.
Morning. Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Eileen Peterson, Vice President of the Hollywood Knolls Community Club. We represent about 750 homes in the area. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about this item. The Hollywood Knolls Community Club is comprised of 3 neighborhoods, the Hollywood Manor, Lake Ridge Estates, and the Hollywood Knolls. I don't know if you would like to. The other 2 communities are identified by monument or other signs as themselves, and we are the only neighborhood that does not have our own specific identification. 10 years ago, on this very site, the Beautification Committee, which I co-chair with Charles Malky, who is here today, we were awarded a $10,000 beautification grant from the city, and worked closely with Michael Espinoza of your department. So that was on this very property. We've maintained it for 10 years, and it's the pride of the neighborhood. We have worked very hard to get a community sign for this location. Currently, there are no signs identifying it, and this marker would provide for easier accessibility for those visiting the Hollywood Knolls community. This is a picture of before we were awarded the grant. So all we need is the sign to complete the picture.
2 minutes.
We have worked in partnership with NBC Universal together to apply for this revocable permit to allow for the construction and placement of the Hollywood Knolls non-illuminated monument sign. And we ask for your support in this request.
Great, thank you, ma'am. We also have Tracy Cohen.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Cohen, Vice President of Corporate and External Affairs for NBC Universal, and we're here this morning in support of the community. We are very proud of our longstanding partnership with the Hollywood Knolls community, and they came to us with this request for this marker sign at the corner that you have the photo of. And at the request of the community, the company committed to funding the building of the sign itself and the design plans, and hope that this project can come to fruition with your support in the permit. So thank you so much. And one moment, I also want to make sure I thank Councilman Rue, Alice Roth, Gary Valido from the Bureau of Engineers, and obviously the Board of Public Works. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ms. Cohen. I understand the council office is supportive of this as well, of course. Mr. Kim, would you like to say anything? The floor is yours, sir. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Alexander Kim, Senior Advisor to Councilman David Rue. I'm speaking on his behalf. I have some words for him. In 2006, the City of Los Angeles Board of Public Works, Community Beautification, Office of Community Beautification issued a revocable permit to the Beautification Committee of Hollywood Knolls Community Club, Eileen Peterson. The revocable permit was for landscaping for the southeast corner of Barham and Lake Hollywood Drive. The Beautification Committee of Hollywood Knolls Community Club, in partnership with NBC Universal, has applied for an addendum to the revocable permit to allow for the construction and placement of a Hollywood Knolls non-illuminated directional sign for easier accessibility for those visiting the Hollywood Knolls community. We would like to thank both the Hollywood Knolls Community Club and NBC Universal for their hard work and partnership on this project. Both the Hollywood Hills West Neighborhood Council, the Hollywood Knolls Community Club Homeowners Association, and our office of Council District 4 support this request. We also ask that the city engineer issue a no-fee A permit for the work to be performed and provide a no-fee inspection of the project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Colleagues, any question of Mr. Roch or of Mr. Kim or any of the speakers? Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think that the cooperation, the collaboration that's going on with regard to NBC Universal and supporting the community is the example of what we'd like to have throughout this city. And I've noticed, and I'm sure that many of you have, as we drive throughout our city, we see signs that the city has posted identifying the names of various communities and neighborhoods. I think that's a wonderful thing because not only are we a member of Los Angeles and proud about that, but we're equally proud about the various regions that we have in our various city neighborhoods. And so I promote and I encourage and I'm very proud when neighborhoods come together and they pull together around the identity of who they are as a neighborhood. So I think that this is a great thing for the city of Los Angeles, and I think every neighborhood and community is entitled to this kind of collaboration. So,
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Is that a motion? Okay, seconded by Commissioner Rodriguez. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any problem sending it forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. Thank you, everyone. Agenda item number 1, Bureau of Engineering, Council District 11, Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Capital Improvement Project, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to increase the not-to-exceed amount for the sole source selection of Headworks International brand stainless steel bar screen assemblies and related installation support services from $3.3 million to $4,631,866. And secondly, authorize the city engineer to include a line item in the schedule of work and prices for Headworks International stainless steel bar screen assemblies and services to be procured and installed by the general contractor awarded the construction contract. Mr. Zahedi.
Good morning, Sean Zahedi, Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. This item is a request for authorization to increase the not-to-exceed amount for previously sole-sourced equipment for the Hyperion treatment plant. Before I start, a note of clarification. The vendor or the manufacturer that we have sole-sourced is called Headworks International, and the facility at Hyperion where this equipment is going to go is called the Headworks facility. So I wanted to point that out so there is no confusion. As the wastewater enters the Hyperion plant, it goes through the Headworks facility where the flow is screened, and then there is a grit removal process. The screening is done by the use of these existing bar screens. We have 8 of them at the plant. They were installed in 1992. They have reached the end of their useful life. This project, the Hyperion Headworks Improvement Project, is replacing these 8 bar screens with a new next generation type of equipment. During the pre-design process of this project, we looked at a number of manufacturers and evaluated different types of bar screens, and in consultation with the Bureau of Sanitation and the positive experience that they've had with Headworks International equipment already installed at the Tillman and the Terminal Island plants, it was decided that we will sole source the Headworks International equipment for the bar screens. So on August 1st of 2014, your board adopted a report for the sole source selection of Headworks International stainless steel bar screens to be specified for this project at a not to exceed cost of $3,300,000. That was at the beginning of our design process when we came and requested sole source authorization. And the quotation from the vendor that we used was for a standard unit with no options, just a standard bar screen unit. As the design progressed, we had to make modifications to the design of these bar screens and make them more compatible with Hyperion operations. And this was done after many workshops were held with the Bureau of Sanitation, and modifications include basically the enclosing the bar screen units completely to prevent any odor emissions from the bar screens. Then we had to modify the discharge chutes to fit what the Hyperion operations wanted. Additionally, we added diverter chutes to the units. In case of emergency, you can divert the solid away from the bar screens. And we also modified the bar spacing on some of the bar screens. So as a result of all these modifications, we're now looking at a customized unit as opposed to the standard unit that we started with. And for that reason, and because of the fact that the original cost estimate that we based our original sole source on is about 2 years old, so escalation and also the customization of the unit, the price has increased. The latest proposal we have from Headworks International is $4,631,866. So there's an increase of about $1.3 million in the not-to-exceed amount. And the PRC, the Program Review Committee, in March of this year approved $12,356,000 for the construction of the overall project, Hyperion Headworks Improvement Project. And therefore our recommendation at this time is to increase the not-to-exceed amount for these bar screens from $3.3 million to $4.631,866. That concludes my report. I'm ready to answer any questions.
Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Sean, thank you for that report. So these were installed in 1992, so they're at the end of their lifespan. It's about a generation. Do we expect the same lifespan from the second generation enhanced 2.0 screen?
Pretty much 25 years is the average lifetime for this type of equipment.
Okay. You know, I toured Hyperion, and the headworks is kind of open, and that's where the grit. And so I think the feature of fully enclosing the bar screens is good to, obviously, to reduce the emissions.
Yes, we by enclosing the bar screens completely, we have or we are going to reduce the amount of air that needs to be treated from the headworks facility. We are actually reducing it by half, just by the virtue of enclosing these units, not only the bar screens, but also the sluice way, the troughs, and all the other equipment are going to be enclosed and under negative pressure. That means air is being sucked from them. And so, yes, it's an improvement in the overall odor control situation.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. Anything further? I don't have any questions. Is there a motion on by Commissioner Jacinto on number 1? I'll second it, along with Commissioner Repenning. So we will adopt, any objection, I should say. Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Any problem sending it forthwith? We'll send number 1 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 3, Bureau of Contract Administration and Bureau of Sanitation, recommending that the board find West Rock, formerly Rock 10, non-responsive for failing to pass the business inclusion program requirements for the harbor waste shed and request the mayor and city council to authorize the board to award and execute 2 contracts. 1, CR&R Incorporated for processing and marketing of residential recyclable materials from the East Valley Waste Shed, and 2, CR&R Incorporated for processing and marketing of residential recyclable materials from the Harbor Waste Shed. Mr. Lee.
Good morning. Good morning, President James, commissioners, bureau representatives, city attorney, executive officer. My name is Michael Lee, and I'm a project manager for material recovery facility contracts. Commonly, we call it MRF contracts. Residential recyclable materials we collect delivered to these material recovery facilities, MRF facilities, and we received approximately $4 million from these contractors in the last fiscal year from all 6 waste sheds. Board authorized to distribute, advertise the RFP for 4 of the 6 waste sheds, East Valley, West Valley, North Central, and Harbor, and we received a total of 11 proposals. From the evaluation, North Central and West Valley, we are still under negotiation, so I'm here to ask board to approve CR&R for Harbor waste sheds and CR&R again for East Valley waste shed. I would like to request an amendment referencing page number 7 under other city requirements to remove Rainbow Disposal Company. Thank you.
Hey, any questions at all? The board report was helpful, Mr. Lee, in describing the circumstances around which we exist right now in the marketplace, so I appreciate that. Without any questions, is there a motion on this item by Commissioner Repenning? I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3 so you can move forward on this.
Thank you.
Any problem sending it forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Lou, my understanding is we need to, Mr. Lee, one moment. We need to make an amended motion of some sort that Mr. Campos and yourself can put on the record for us.
Yes, if the board can consider adopting this report as amended so that we can forward it to the mayor's office, it would just be to strike out the reference of Rainbow Disposable Company on page number 7.
Okay. Then my motion would be as amended and adopted as amended. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, and we'll send it forthwith as amended. Thank you, Mr. Campos. Agenda item number 4 has been continued. Agenda item number 5, Bureau of Sanitation has made a motion recommending the board authorize the use of fund number 511 from account 50 MSAG Bologna Creek Water Quality Improvement to fund Parsons Water and Infrastructure Incorporated. The contract number is C120716 for all work related to the Bologna Creek Water Quality Improvement and Beneficial Use Project. Mr. Vasquez, you'll explain what we're doing by this motion?
Yes, good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. My name is Alex Vasquez with the Bureau of Sanitation. On this motion, we want to add this fund and account to pay for this work. The issue behind all this work we're doing for this stormwater project is that we're working with engineering, and their contracts are basically for Hyperion work, so they are funded by wastewater money. All these contracts, I have to have this fund so we can use stormwater funds to pay for this work. So you might see me a few more times for more work and more typical type of motion asking for funding. Basically, we want to put Fund 511 as a funding source for this contract. That's basically what we're doing.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on this agenda item? Is there a motion that we approve this agenda item by Commissioner Repenning on number 5? I'll second it along with Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 5. Any problem sending it forthwith?
Thank you.
We'll send number 5 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Agenda item number 9, communication. Evan Sandblasting Corporation, doing business as Western Sandblasting Company, has transmitted the release of a stop notice in the amount of $2,000 for furnishing sandblasting of interior steel tank to Heat Transfer Solutions, an apparent contractor in connection with the emergency on-call Hyperion Treatment Plant's cryogenic system repair project. Contractors PPC Construction Incorporated. Is there a second to my motion that we receive number 9 forthwith? By Commissioner Rodriguez and Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Going back to agenda item number 6. Office of Accounting, Bureau of Sanitation, requested authority for expenditure number 1, Office of Accounting and Bureau of Sanitation, requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $310,000 for payment of computer technical support for the entire Bureau from January 1, 2016 through April 30th, 2016, 4 months, to extend the expired services previously provided by an existing contract C113341. Colleagues, they also handed out a supplemental explanation of this authority for expenditure. Arthur, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. My name is Arthur Salas from Sanitation. I work as an Information Systems Manager. We are requesting for your approval to fund the stopgap that we have to help to support our computer support operations in the Bureau. We had a contract that expired in December 2015. Basically, this AFE is to request the approval to pay the 4 months that we're using as a stopgap until we get the contract hopefully executed within the next couple of weeks. The new contract.
So, Arthur, would you just, you've given us this written summary, but for the oral record, would you provide the information for the oral record as well?
As far as the service, so basically we're using contractors to help us support the 2,200 desktops and other laptops peripherals for the Bureau of Sanitation. We're using contractors right now to help us support this routine support for our users, and the permanent full-time employees are being assigned for more important projects that are more critical. So contractors are being used to work on simple tasks to help the Bureau operations.
There's reference in here to cybersecurity threat assessment and resolution.
Yes, sir. Sometimes when we get alerts like from ITA, cybersecurity office, we have to investigate PCs that are sometimes in the field or located across the Bureau. These contractors are sometimes utilized to help us investigate and fix the PCs and eradicate any viruses or worms.
This only goes through 4 months. What do you do after April 30th, 2016?
We have a task order in progress now. We are hoping to be included on the next board agenda next week.
Go to the on-call list?
Yes, sir. Using the on-call contract.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
So when you were aware that the contract was expiring in December, why is the AFE now coming forward for this set of?
We had a letter of agreement that was signed by the board. I have a copy of that letter, not the executed copy, but it was approved prior. Originally, we were hoping to use only about 100,000, but the contract, on-call contract, didn't get executed until April 21st. So we had to push up to this point until the new contract is in place for the on-call.
My concern is that when we have a contract that's going to be closed out, you already know the end date of those contracts, and so now that we're kind of going retroactively to cover services, why I just don't understand. When you know that you're going to have the culmination of one contract, why we're not already kind of ramping up for either the next toss to be executed. I mean, the whole idea behind the task order solicitations is to expedite these new contracts. So you knew the culmination of that existing contract was happening. What happened in that timeline that you didn't start executing a new task order solicitation?
As soon as we got the executed on-call contract, which was April 21st of this year, we began
So you didn't have an on-call list before April 21st for this
Yes.
set of services?
Correct. That's the reason why.
And Arthur, you're spending it looks like about $75,000 a month for this 4-month period of time. Is that traditionally over the last couple of years what the Bureau has been spending for this type of support is the first question. The second question is, do you expect that level of spend to continue?
In the last 3 years, you're correct, Mr. President. We were averaging about 2.4. It was about 2.4 million in 3 years. In the last 3 years, moving forward, because of the growth of mobile devices, a lot of tablets, and a lot of security threats that's been happening, we expect that to maybe go up by a little bit. In order to respond to cybersecurity threats that we've been getting, and also to help us manage our mobile devices like laptops and smartphones to help secure the Bureau of Sanitation network.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
So do these contractors coordinate with ITA in terms of understanding the city's overall network expectations for management and cybersecurity and all the latest standardized?
No, they coordinate using Bureau of Sanitation employees, full-time system employees. And then us, we coordinate with ITA and other departments as needed. So basically, we have full-time staff that manages and supervises their contractors' work.
So do other departments and bureaus, is everybody kind of in a decentralized management method when it comes to our technical support?
I believe ITA supports about 20 departments, so that's kind of centralized. But as far as sanitation, we are responsible in managing the entire bureau.
And that's an expectation that was bestowed upon us by ITA, or it's just been our practice?
It's been the practice in the bureau.
Thank you, Mr. Salas. Any further questions? Is there a motion on this item by Commissioner Repenning? I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 6. We'll send it. Any problem sending it forthwith? We'll send number 6 forthwith. Thank you, sir. We look forward to the toss on this item. Agenda item number 7, a motion from the Office of Accounting and the Bureau of Street Services, Authority for Expenditure. Office of Accounting and the Bureau requesting the board approve and execute an authority for expenditure in the amount of $250,000 for payment for the use of gas lines that provide the asphalt plants with natural gas for the operation of the city's 2 asphalt plants, heater and dryer equipment. Mario Interiano?
Yes, good morning,
sir.
Commissioner. Good morning.
We do this $250,000 every...
Yeah, we're coming to you just about every
few
quarter.
Months, every quarter? Okay.
That's correct. This time we're requesting the $250,000 to get us to the end of the fiscal year. As compared to last year, so far we've spent about $377,000 in the provision of gas. Last year we spent about $422,000. So we are under as far as what we've spent, but we do anticipate additional use because of our ramping up of the production just to meet our goals for resurfacing.
Any reason for the reduction? Just scheduling, or?
I believe it also has to do with the fact that one of our asphalt plants is currently being...
Serviced?
Serviced, yeah. That's correct, yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, when we have an improvement of asphalt plant number 1, we'll have much more capacity to deal with all of that.
Exactly.
Any further questions on this item? I'll make a motion on number 7, seconded by Commissioner Rodriguez. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 7. Any problem sending it forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Thank you,
Thank you very much.
Agenda item number 8, we have a number of advertisements for the invitation of bids. Specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. These are council districts all over the city for landscape maintenance of median islands and maintenance unimproved median islands. Let me go through these one at a time. And then Mr. Tyson's here if you have any questions. Council districts 3, 5, 6, 7, and 12 for landscape maintenance of median islands and maintenance of unimproved median islands at specific locations in the West Valley. The estimate is $770,639.72. The bid receipt date is May 25th, 2016. For council districts, the second one is for council districts 8, 9, 10, 11, and 15. That's for landscape maintenance of median islands and maintenance of unimproved median islands at specific locations in the Bay Harbor area. Estimate $629,289.63. The bid receipt date is Wednesday, May 25th, 2016. The third item is Council Districts 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 13, and 14 for landscape maintenance of median islands and maintenance of unimproved median islands at specific locations in the East Valley. Estimate $617,021.69. Bid receipt dates Wednesday, May 25th, 2016. And the final one is for Council Districts 1, 4, 5, 9, 10, and 14 for landscape maintenance of median islands and maintenance of unimproved median islands at specific locations in the north and central parts of the city. Estimate $473,980.98. Also, the bid receipt date on May 25th, 2016. Any questions for Mr. Tyson on agenda item number 8? Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 8 by Commissioner Jacinto? Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 8. Any problem sending it forthwith? We will send number 8 forthwith. Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 10, an oral report on the status of consultant contracts from the Bureaus of Engineering and Sanitation. Whichever wants to go first, go ahead. Dominic, you're here? It looks like, go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name is Dominic Buenaventura. I'm with the Project Award and Control Division of the Bureau of Engineering. I'm here to give you the report of our personal services contract for the period of January 1st, 2016 through March 31st, 2016. Now, during that time, there was a total of 131 contracts, which is the same as last quarter. The total invoice, including the period, during this period, was $6.3 million, and that's $4.4 million less than last quarter. There are 2 unexecuted contract amendments approved by this board during that quarter, both of which have been reviewed by the Council Administrative Office and is awaiting final execution. Now, 18 of our 131 contracts that require minority women or disadvantaged business enterprises have negative deviations, and which is actually 3 less than last quarter. There were 11 tasks awarded to our Bureau of Engineering consultants, and that is 2 more than last quarter. Now, for minority, women, and other business enterprises, subconsultant participation for contracts requiring minority and women participation, a total of $5.8 million was invoiced, and that's approximately $2.5 million less than previous quarter. 20.2% of that $5.8 million was paid to MBE firms, 8% to WBE firms, and 20.2% to OBE firms. For contracts that require DBE or OBE participation, $440,000 was invoiced, and that's about $2 million less than last quarter. 25% of that amount was paid to DBE firms and 4% to other business firms. So in total, $1.8 million was paid to our minority business or disadvantaged businesses and $1.2 million to other business enterprises. And that represents a total of about 30% of the total amount paid for the quarter. This includes my report, so if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions of engineering before we move to sanitation? Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you. Dominic, thank you for your report. You know, almost 40%, the 18 that have negative deviations for maybe Weeby. Yeah. Dominic, can you tell, is that a temporal thing? Is that because where we're at in the contract cycle? Or can you provide a little bit more information on the deviation?
Well, there are various reasons why things are going negative. A lot of times the subconsultants aren't being used up front for the task and maybe later. Or sometimes there's a negotiated scope of work where we don't need part of those sub-consultants, and so they're going to have to anticipate a lesser amount. And so, like I said, there's various reasons why, but I think the most common is that they're using them later in the tasks and then up front.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, I was going to speak to our involvement in the MeBe-Weeby and small business, disadvantaged business area, and I appreciate your report, and I realize that every quarter it differs in terms of what we will have. I hope that in the future, as we anticipate the sidewalk repair program, that will be a great opportunity for us to probably reach some of the milestones that we seek in terms of inclusion. So I realize that, again, on every quarter it differs in terms of our numbers, but I think that we have a project that can really help us become probably at least a statewide model for what we can achieve as it relates to that. Because cement, in fact, is an area of construction work in which we do have numerous individuals who happen to be from the various divisions of inclusion that we target.
I totally agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. Sanitation? Good morning. Sherry, how are you?
Good morning, Commissioners, Bureau Rep, City Attorney, Executive Officer. I'm Sherry Kuroki with Sanitation. Our report for the quarter ending March 31st, 2016. The total amount billed since the last quarter was $17.6 million. The total for contracts with MBE, WBEO participation was $11.19 million. The breakdown is as follows. MBE $1.2 million or 11.2%, WBE $843,480 or 7.5%, and OBE $2.5 million or 22.5%, for a total of $4.6 million or 41.3%. We have 10 solid waste and biosolids contracts expiring within the next 9 months. I'm not going to go through all 10. You usually hear it every month anyway, so I'm just going to go over the ones that I've added since the last month. The first one is West Coast Rendering. That's contract 119907. Expires in November. That's for dead animal processing and recovery. The project manager intends to exercise a 3-year renewal option containing the contract. The Reverick Pacific Company contract. That's for automated refuse and recycling containers. The project manager intends to execute Amendment number 5 to the contract to extend the term and increase the cost ceiling. He is also planning to distribute a new RFP for such services. Of the ones that won't be renewed, there are 5. The one I didn't discuss last month is Big Belly Solar. That expires in September, and that's for implementation of a smart waste and recycling system pilot program, those Big Belly Solar trash compactors you see on the streets. The project manager is actually going to monitor the success of that pilot program, and we'll decide later this summer whether or not to proceed. We have 5 wastewater contracts that will be expiring within the next 9 months. One of them is Conejo Crest Landscape Management Contract, expires in September. That's for services at the Japanese Garden. The project manager will exercise a 1-year renewal option containing the contract, but is also preparing a new RFP. The Hoffman Southwest Corporation contract and National Plant Services contracts, they both expire towards the end of this year. That's for sewer condition assessment using CCTV. The project manager is amending the contract. That amendment was approved by the board last year. He is also preparing a new RFP for services. And finally, the Pacific Sewer Maintenance and Root Teamers contract expires in November. That's for sewer root control treatment. The project manager is amending the contract to extend the term and increase the cost ceiling. And the amendment was approved by board last month. We have 11 contracts with MBE and or WBE deviation concerns. I was able to get 3 of them off since last quarter. Unfortunately, we added 4. So we're actually up 1 since the last quarter. Just quickly go over the 4 that we added. The first one is one of our on-call consultant services contracts with Malcolm Perney. That MBE deviation is negative 3.01%. And that's mainly due to one of our tosses in which the subcontractor will be utilized for the project if needed for soil remediation if soil contamination is found at the site, which is Clark's. So we may always be in deviation if no soil contamination is found, which is actually a good thing. The second one, our Larry Walker contract, another on-call consultants contract. MBE deviation, negative 13.02%. WB deviation, negative 4%. For that one, I was told that the work on that TOS only recently was initiated, so we've had very few invoices received to date for the project, so not much information is input into our database yet. The third one, CDM Smith, on-call consultant services contract, MB deviation negative 2.14. The MB subconsultant staff was unavailable to perform the services, so the prime contractor will work with the subconsultant to assign additional staff to the project. And then finally, S. Groner Associates, which is our stormwater public education program contract, MBE deviation negative 18%, WBE deviation negative 4%. And although the contract was executed last year, I was told by the project manager the program actually didn't start till January of this year. So there hasn't been much work done on it yet. That's it.
Questions for Sherry? Commissioner Jacinto?
Thank you, President James. Sherry, thank you for the report. You know, I'm just sort of bringing new in terms of these quarterly reports for personnel services. We do have a pre-qualified on-call list, correct?
Correct.
And there's a number of contractors on that list.
Yes, we have 2 sets of them.
2 sets. Do we ever have issued a report that identifies the frequency or the number of times or maybe even the total amount of dollars that each of those contractors receive over the course of the contract period?
We don't generate a regular report on that. That is kept, the project managers, those that are in charge of those sets of on-calls, they do keep spreadsheets on how much dollars are awarded to each of the contractors on those lists.
You know, I'd like to sort of request for not only from sanitation but from engineering as well, sort of the utilization of different contractors in terms of the on-call list.
Okay.
Just interested to gain a little bit more insight and understanding of that, please.
Okay, will do.
Great, thank you, Sherry. Commissioner Rodriguez.
Actually, just Commissioner Jacinto, what I want to let you know is one of the reasons why, one of the components of the overhaul of BAVIN was to incorporate more transparency on our task order solicitation process, because we have not been effective, I believe, in tracking and really reflecting a consistent method of showing who on the task orders, when they're issued, is consistently receiving those contract opportunities. And so it's a way for us to really manage that more effectively and demonstrate who is in fact getting the contracts on those task orders, and so that we are consistent in our method of even notifying those that are on the pre-qualified list that these opportunities are made available. So that's precisely one of the reasons why we focused on the task order solicitations, because there hasn't been a consistent and public-facing way of tracking who in fact is getting the majority of those contracts.
Great, thank you. Anything further? Commissioner Penning.
I just want to thank you guys for doing these reports. I think it's really helpful. I know it's a lot of work to put them together, but I think it's helpful for us to be able to see kind of what's going on and how we're doing after we've approved things here at the board. And I appreciate that you're continuing to include the amounts of the deviation in the reports, because I think that helps us really assess, how far off we are in the bigger picture. So thank you.
Well, and I would just add, in a lot of Commissioner Penning's comment, the summary explanations, even if to the extent they're speculative, are helpful to us as the process moves along. So thank you for all that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Commissioner Davis?
So we have obviously individual goals in terms of projects often, in terms of how we'd like to have inclusion on an individual basis. We don't have, from a macro perspective, a goal of what we'd like to see as it relates to, for example, on a quarterly basis, what we would like to see in terms of inclusion. We don't take that accountability to a larger level, do we?
Just the best numbers that we could achieve.
Gotcha. All right. Just a question. Thank you.
Thank you. The oral report will be received.
Thank you.
Mr. Campos, with the exception of the adjourning motion, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Colleagues, it is with profound sadness that I announce that Tanya Durrell's mother, Dorothy Marie Shelton, passed away. The Board of Public Works and the City of Los Angeles has learned with sorrow of the death of Dorothy Marie Shelton, the beloved mother of our longtime Public Works employee in our Public Affairs Office, Tanya Durrell. The members of the board do express their deep sense of loss in the passing of Dorothy Marie Shelton and their appreciation of her devoted community involvement and service to the state of California. And of course, we extend to Tanya and the rest of her family all of the sympathy evoked on such an occasion. So in Dorothy Marie Shelton's honor, we adjourn here this morning.